Okay. Am I starting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so she just wanted us to discuss situations in which we've been employed, various sources of power and influence. So I have down I'm expert in legitimate power at the gym because I used to be a personal trainer. I had that power to influence people on what they ate and what they trained. They listened to me because I was a personal trainer. They questioned my certifications, even though I did have them. And they listened to me because I was labeled an expert at something. Now I just use coercive and reward power, though, because it's a little easier for me to utilize. You do not need to work on previous skills or knowledge. You just have to be in a position to either take something away or reward someone with something. So, what do you guys have?
Cool. Yeah, so mine's actually kind of similar to that. Cool. I tried to think of something that was more related to work, but the first thing that came to my mind was after I graduated high school. I wrestled for a long time, and after I graduated high school, I volunteered to help coach basically a youth wrestling program, and I think that stood out to me because that was my first time having what I felt like was my first experience of having power. In the instance that I had basically expert power because, not only was I older and everything than these kids, but they knew a lot of these kids had come and they'd seen our whole high school wrestle, included and stuff like that. And so they really looked up to me as a person with all the answers. But it was also really a learning curve because a lot of the times they had questions and stuff that I had actually never encountered before. And so I had to kind of think on my feet and also, be prepared to try to solve problems that I had never encountered. And so it was like my first experience with power, but also ended up being very, humbling and kind of made me realize I wasn't the best out there and didn't know everything like I thought I did at the time. So, yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I just got a follow-up question for you, Taylor. In that experience for you, or any other experiences regarding power, have you ever been in situations where anyone was giving you pushback and you had a difficult time exercising power or whatnot, or a case where someone didn't really see your perspective of where you were coming from with that?
With this particular instance, like the youth wrestling camp and stuff like that, not so much, just because they're kids, they're impressionable. They automatically look up to someone like who I was at the time, being just coming off of state wrestling and stuff like that. They were pretty quick to take feedback that I was offering. I guess the only problem really was that dealing with kids, it's hard to keep them focused was the main thing. And so it wasn't necessarily pushback, but more or less just, trying to encourage them to do what we were there to do and continue to have fun or whatever, you know what I mean? So in that instance, no. And as far as employed instances go, I don't think I've ever really had the opportunity. Well, I can't think of any instances at work necessarily that stand out in a situation like that where that's happened.
Gotcha.
Taylor, do you feel like you lost power when you didn't know the answers, when people ask questions?
Well, it wasn't necessarily that. No, I don't think I did, and I think the reason that I didn't was because I think I was kind of able to admit that's a good question, but not necessarily be I don't know, but say, hey, it's a good question. Let me link up with someone else and figure out what's the best method to approach this. And so because of that, I think that they were, I didn't give up. I wasn't just, I don't have the answers, figure it out on your own. I was able to come back and coach them and figure a solution out.
Can I go ahead and step in?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I had about 3 different examples for sources of power. I was in a legitimate power position as a preschool teacher. I went into that fairly young when I had small children, and I just kind of went in, and you're the position, anything you say goes with those little ones. And then I went into a different career, which was a photography career, and that was expert power. They just went off of my practical skills, never asked me for certificates, just believed me that I was professional and knew exactly what I was doing. But I have had a leader, so I was the follower who used coercive power. And that was pretty tough to handle, to be honest with you. I had some deadlines that were due and couldn't meet that deadline because of different time constraints. And she came to me and said to me, well, if you can't get it done by this time, then I'll find somebody else who could. And that was pretty tough to handle. I didn't really appreciate that type of power being put on me. Those are my examples.
I kind of like the one with the kids like that. I never thought about that, but you are kind of, when you're a parent or a preschool teacher, something like that, it's kind of coercive power. You're kind of just saying, do this and go with it.
Well, I hope I didn't lead that way, but it's true.
I'll just go ahead and do mine right away then. So I have an example. I have a current coworker that I'm training, and she's been at this place for 30 years and held pretty much the same job title. So I'm kind of in my 6 years I've been there, grown to the same job level she has, and she got rotated the position I had. They wanted to pull me off and give me some different special assignments. So I've been trying to train her on the things that she should have already known over the last 30 years, but it's been real difficult. And she's kind of a person that she thinks she knows everything, and I guess, and she kind of, I put on my little notes that she admires herself. And the reason I say that is because it's like I've tried using information power and spoon feed her a little bit to help keep her motivated, and reward power. Also, there was a project manager that was basically putting a luncheon together and saying, hey, anybody that's worked on this project, I want to kind of reward. So she kind of likes that stuff. She likes getting up there and having her horn tooted for her a little bit. And so I made sure that, hey, if you can do this for me, I'll make sure you get invited to this luncheon. And she likes being up there with all those big shots and stuff. So it was a way for me to motivate her. But it's kind of one of those things, if I try to use coercive power or something like that, it's not going to work well because she doesn't want to have to take notes or instructions from anybody.
That's interesting. Was there like some sort of like duty consolidation or responsibility consolidation on your part that?
Yeah, it was supposed to be basically because it was a group I worked in previously. My first 3 years at Boeing, I actually worked in this group, and I just got back into it. A manager just hired me back. He knew I knew stuff that this lady was retired. That didn't really have anybody else that had her skill set, so he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. I went back to work for that group, and when I did that, then we're really growing right now too. So they wanted one person to kind of focus on all the ramp up efforts and helping design new buildings and stuff like that. So he pulled me off and had me start doing that, and said, well, this other lady's been there for 30 years. She should be able to step into that role too. And she's a self-proclaimed expert in everything. So he basically gave her a chance to go down there and prove it. And she's not doing so well with it right now, but I don't know if that answered your question or not, but that's kind of why it came about. Right.
Yeah. No, it does. Cool.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in then. I can talk for a while, I guess, on the different types of power, but just two that stood out in my head. First off, in regards to coercive power, like I guess that could kind of have a negative connotation to it, but kind of where it was going last week in the field that I'm in, dealing with ammunition and explosives and all this type of compliance. There are certain situations that there's expectations that need to be met. So obviously it's up to me as the chief or the leader to lay out those expectations, and also to lay out the repercussions of not meeting those expectations. And then on the flip side with reward power, laying out, hey, if you guys do this well, then this is what can come out of it as well. So a specific example in regards to like coercive power that I can think about is it's in regards to administrative procedures for when we expend ammo on range. And pretty much I was running into a period of time where all the Marines that were working for me, there became a trend of this it's called an expenditure report, which is the expenditure memo. And it's very important for accountability for chain of custody and stuff like that. And there was a period of time where these reports were coming back incorrect. And then they had to go get changed and re-signed. And this is like the number one aspect of the job is filling out this piece of paper correctly. So pretty much I had to sit everyone down and say, like, lay out the expectations, like, hey, first remediate them on how our procedures go for these things and why it's so important. And then, like, hey, 3 strikes you're out type of game. Like, anyone who messes up, these are the new procedures that are in place. If you do mess this up, this is what's going to happen the first time. This is what's going to happen the second time, and this is what's going to happen the third time. And like 3 strikes you're out game, the third time you're going to get benched and you're going to get negative paperwork, which is going to follow you for your career, pretty much identifying you as incompetent in your field, because this is a very important thing. Like, this could cause people to go to jail, like this piece of paper right here, you know? So that was an example where I had to use coercive power, like, to get people to meet the mark. And actually, it was funny, without divulging too much details. I had a Marine that, because of those stipulations that I set forth, he was worried about all of that happening to him. So he went and started forging these expenditure reports because he knew they were wrong, and he didn't want to confront his leadership saying, hey, I messed up, knowing that he was going to get paperwork or not. So he went and forged these documents, and I ended up finding out, and it's actually like pending into a court martial right now for forging official documents. But
Wow.
yeah, and then real quick on reward power, there's a plethora of things I can do to reward Marines for performing their job well. Yeah, it's your job; you're supposed to do it well, but those who go above and beyond can get recognition. Increased responsibility, giving them pretty much making them a billet holder, having people report to them. Obviously, to some, increased responsibility is not a reward, but it pretty much says a lot, especially in the military. And then meritorious promotions, promoting ahead of peers, putting them up. Hey, this person's worthy of getting promoted ahead of time. And then awards like achievement medals, stuff like that, recognizing them for hard work above and beyond what their job highlights. So that's some examples I have of power. Let's move on to get everyone else to talk about the power, and then I would just like to go around the horn again and have everyone, if they want to share an example of someone who abused power in a negative way. In their workplace or experience they had. So
for the types of power that I've been familiarized with, or that I've used, I've definitely used coercive power in some situations. For example, if a team member is having issues with time and attendance, and it's something that we've talked about, I do have the ability to deliver corrective actions if necessary. So I have used coercive power in that manner, but I think more so what I've tried to in the past is reward power, positively reinforcing some of the good behaviors that I get to see at work or in my volunteer stuff that I do. And a lot of times that's just they did a fantastic job in giving them a high five and making them feel supported. So those are my examples of power. I have had a leader of mine use coercive power in a really negative way. Just kind of like Siobhan's example, where they're saying, this is the job. If you can't get it done, then that's fine. I'll find somebody else to do it. And that didn't motivate me at all. It didn't make me feel appreciated, or it didn't make me want to be there whatsoever. So that's my example of negative power in leadership.
Yeah, I agree with you. It made me feel like I didn't want to be there anymore at all, and that task that was given to me tainted after that point, you know? I felt like by abusing that power in a way to make somebody do something and make them feel crappy about it, I think that is a misuse of coercive power.
Absolutely.
Has anyone found through the use of coercive power and reward power that motivates others on the team to say, "Hey, I want to be the one to get recognized," or to see a disciplinary action take place and say, "Hey, I don't want to do that because I don't want to be in that guy's shoes." Has anyone experienced that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If, you know, the team talks whether or not they're supposed to talk about corrective actions, and so they hear that one person has been delivered a corrective action for whatever it might be. It's kind of funny. They all kind of immediately know about it, and then nobody's late for a period of time.
Yeah, it's like we call that the Lance Corporal Underground. Like the word spreads like wildfire, like
Yeah.
across like the lower ranks. Like it's crazy.
It's like the sacrificial lamb. One of them, it has to happen to somebody to get everybody else to move.
Yeah, exactly. What? Sorry. Is anyone keeping track of time? I'm tracking. We're at like 15 minutes, I think.
My recording is at 17 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we're coming to the end of the time. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything else.
Do we all want to spend 30 seconds real quick saying what our argumentative things were?
Yeah, we can. Let's just go around real quick and say like a two-liner of what we scored at and why.
Wait, can you say that again?
You want to go around and just talk real quick, like a 2-sentence per person of what they scored on the argumentative assessment and why or how they see that fitting or not?
I still can't hear you, Adam. Can you just say
He's saying go around and say your score in just 1 or 2 sentences about how you felt about that.
The argumentative assessment, as Brian was bringing up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just throw mine out real quick. So I had we got a manager right now. It's an Army Ranger at work, or was an Army Ranger, and his style that he brought from the Army isn't real conducive to our business. Like he comes in and thinks he can still just order people around. He's real coercive. He insults people sometimes. He does character attacks, stuff like that. And I was using him as my example for argumentative just because he does a lot of things you shouldn't do.
Yeah, real quick, I'll say real quick, like in regards to the assessment, I was like on the upper end of moderate. The only reason I would say I wasn't in high was because I kind of pick and choose my battles, so to speak. If I don't see an argument as having a productive outcome, then I won't engage in it. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my breath. There's many people that I could argue with that I would say are similar to like talking to a wall. Those are the people that I'm not going to waste my time arguing with. So I kind of pick and choose my battles. If I think that there could be a productive outcome to ensue, then I'll engage in it to further a discussion and gain others' perspectives. But that's as far as I'll go with that.
Yeah, I agree. I got a 64, so I got a moderate argumentative as well. And I agree. I don't tend to engage in arguments if I don't feel like it's going to be productive or a learning experience. I think as long as, you know, I have the data to back up what I'm going to argue, I think I'm good to go, but not worth it if it's not going to go anywhere. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm in the same. I'm a 64 also. I'm not going to argue if it's not important to me. I'm just have way too much stuff going on.
For me, I actually got a 69. So moderate as well. But I think for me personally, I don't even find myself getting into a lot of arguments. I basically, when I wrote about it, I basically wrote, like, truth be told, I just enjoy having discussions. I tend to like to listen to what people's views are and kind of understand, like, what their views are, try to understand where they're coming from and why they feel that way. But I don't like, it's more of a discussion because I don't even tend to be pushing my own ideologies that often. If I am in a discussion like that with someone, I just am more of a person to sit and listen. But I do, like, I also am not the type of person to back down from an argument either. Like if I don't have any hot buttons, but if someone just wants to hear about something, then I'm welcome to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about a 60 on that range, and I have to agree with you guys about if it's not worth my time, or I don't think there's going to be any kind of learning that can come from it or something positive, then I just won't even worry about it. But a lot of times in those situations, I'll take that same information, something that needs to be corrected maybe, and make it into like a coaching conversation instead of getting into an argument with someone. So yeah.
Hey, look at that. We're all on the same team for a reason.
And I was a 52, and I'm more of a compromiser and negotiator. So, but a lot of the same things you guys said, I totally agree with.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's all the time. Did we miss anybody? I think that's all the time we have for today. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast, and then we could proceed on with our group discussion.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds cool.